any Democratic, so have you reached out to get any Democratic support for it?
I personally haven't, and I don't know of any efforts that have. You know, with what happened on House Bill 307, we step very cautiously when we ask for their support and rely on it. And they have their own politics, and we have ours. And hopefully, at the end of the day, it all comes together, and we get a balanced budget, and the people of Georgia can rest knowing that the legislature has adjourned or gone sine die.
With only 7 days left to have such big disagreements, isn't that just hard to reconcile in 7 days?
Wow, you know, if I could go back and find a videotape of me standing in this position last year, I would probably be saying the same thing about all the difficult issues we have in the last 7 legislative days. And somehow it all seems to work out. It is a very ugly process that, in the end, typically turns out okay, and we certainly hope it will this year. Of course, the circumstances surrounding what we've dealt with this year are unlike any we've had in years past, so the difficulty in arriving at those agreements is far greater, but I'm pretty convinced we're going to do it.
So where does this leave the transportation bill?
I think the transportation bill is being discussed by the transportation leadership on both sides. It's not something I've been a part of yet. But it, of course, will go through the conference committee process and be similar to what I think we passed out last year. I don't know yet if we're looking at a constitutional amendment or simply a statute change. Of course, if there is a constitutional amendment, it'll have to go on the ballot in November of 2010. But the people want us to find an answer on this, and I think that this year, at least from the legislature standpoint, there seems to be more agreement than ever before.
Could there become a bargaining chip? I mean, there's sort of this, that in the end, you know, transportation is being held up against hospital fee, those kind of setups where you like, you know, I mean, there's a lot of big ticket items, basically.
I don't see a scenario where the transportation is weighed against anything else. I think both sides are in full agreement this needs to happen. I think one of the questions is the ballot measure in November of 2010. You know, one of the risks you take in asking the public their opinion is once they let you know what it is, you're somewhat bound by it, as well you should be. And if the public tells us that they are not in favor of this transportation plan in 2010 that could potentially be placed on the ballot, I think you're setting that issue back and on the sidelines for quite some time. And so the need to get it right, the need to make sure that we're doing what Georgians want us to do could never be greater on this issue.
We're talking about putting it on the 2010 ballot?
If it is a constitutional amendment, it would have to go on the 2010 ballot, yeah.
Not 12 like the governor.
Not 12 like the governor says.
It's my understanding that any constitutional amendment passed by the General Assembly in a given session must go on the next opportunity for there to be a constitutional question on the ballot. So I've been told that. I have not gone to Legislative Council and asked that question myself, but I've been told people have. So it's my understanding that it must go on the next November ballot.
Senator, what about the Democrats' claim that the increase in fees, the $93 million, the hospital bed tax, they call it the sick tax, are basically tax increases?
Well, of course, on House Bill 307, we took a hospital fee that was requested by the hospitals themselves to be administered over a 3-year period and matched that with what will eventually be the complete elimination of the state tax on health premium policy or on health care policies. So I think for most people that's a pretty good balance in getting rid of a permanent tax, a permanent repeal, as opposed for a 3-year fee that's been asked for by the hospitals themselves. So I think most people are comfortable with that.
Back to the transportation, the governor's bill was not a constitutional amendment, and he was of the legal understanding that it didn't have to be, but you all are all talking constitutional amendment.
That's one of the options. There could still be the statutory option, and the statutory option, of course, would not have the requirement to go on the November 2010 ballot. But if we do pass a constitutional amendment, it's my understanding that it must go on the November 2010 ballot. And, of course, that's a concern by everybody that's involved in this process.
My understanding is you guys will pass an adjournment resolution, a new adjournment resolution today, is that right? And will it only cover this week?
It'll only cover this week, yes.
Okay, so you're not going to forecast out past this week at this point?
No, we're still determining whether if there's a possibility of finishing up next week, if that's even possible. It would require 4 days in session, meaning probably Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. And one of the issues is that on Friday, there's a scheduled state furlough day. So the notion of having sine die in day 40 on a day when there's no staff here to assist you is something that a lot of legislators recoiling somewhat. So it's strange how this furlough thing's coming into play here, but it is certainly something we must consider.
One of the scenarios I heard is that you would do sine die the Monday after qualifying. Is that also something that's being considered?
I've not heard that one, and that's I can't imagine any schedule that doesn't get us out either at the end of next week or during the week of qualifying. Waiting until after qualifying. Now you're into the month of May. I think that's May 3rd, which is my birthday, and we do not need to be here. I've never been here on my birthday, and I don't want to ever be here on my birthday.
Because the Monday of qualifying starts as a state holiday, 26th.
It is also, it's also a state holiday too. So if we even push it to that day,
Which one is that?
Confederate Memorial Day, the 26th.
we wouldn't have staff here as well, so. All right, well, thank you. Appreciate it.